Aloha, everyone. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. I'm here in my office in Kona. So I'm looking out at this ocean view right behind where you guys are. So if you're joining me and you just recently were in Kona, big shout out. I'm still here. Tom just logged in. Tom, my man, Tom was just here. Tom, you're back in the cold, man. You're back in the cold. Is Philadelphia even warm at this time of year? I love it. Honeybee, nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. That's so cool. Got a whole bunch of people that are logging in right now and joining us. And I wanted to make sure that I wore a more traditional Hawaiian shirt. I hope you guys like this. I tried to find the brightest one that I had, and this is about it. It's about as bright as I go. And I do think if I was riding a bicycle that you'd probably be able to see me from about a mile away with this shirt. But it's all good. Having fun here in my office. Don't do many of these from my office, so super cool that I get to be here in my office. And got a picture of Uncle George back there. I talk about Uncle George all the time. And that was the lei that is a replica of the lei that was on his urn. The lei that was on his urn. So amazing. I want to get started. I titled this an interesting title, right? I titled this How to Speak Your Truth Without Being a... I think you're allowed to swear on Facebook, but I think you guys get my point. How do you speak your truth? It's something that has come up for a few of my clients, for a few of my students, and it's really learning how to speak from your heart. If I could break it down to one simple concept, it's the idea that you need to learn how to speak from your heart. So first of all, being truthful, being open. Why is this so important? Well, the problem is that most people operate from a space of not wanting to share their truth. And yet, when then someone runs over their boundaries, what happens? You get pissed off at the other person. I mean, just stop and think about it for a moment. If I tell my kids, here's what I need in order to feel love, and they don't do it, I can say to them, this is what I need for you to experience love from you guys. If I want a daily hug, yeah, I'm a hugging type of person. I'm from Hawaii, so we hug. And I tell my kids, I'm gonna hug you. I tell my son, I'm gonna drop you off at school. Don't care. You're in high school, whatever. I'm gonna hug you because that's the way I roll. And if you're a hugger, hit your heart button. Start blasting your heart button because it feels so good to give a hug. Now, if I don't tell my kids that, if I don't tell my kids, here is my truth. Here's what matters to me. What happens to most people? Well, then they're like, man, how come you don't hug me, Ethan? I don't know, I'm not a hugger. Maybe my son's not a hugger. Maybe I am. People then get grumpy. They get hurt about it. So when you're not truthful, when you're not truthful, what happens is you're actually setting other people up for failure. Speaking your truth is so important. And there's a gentle way of doing it. In Hawaii, Oiaio is one of the cornerstones of a deeper teaching of aloha. And it's to be truthful at all costs, to be honest with yourself, with others. When you're not honest with yourself, when you're not honest with others, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for having experiences that are less than comfortable. People running over your boundaries, people not understanding your deeper needs. And so when you are truthful, you are sharing with them, here are my deeper needs, here are my wants, here are the things that I desire. And what that does is it puts the energy on their side. It puts the ball in their court. And it's up to them. It's up to them what they do with it. Now, why are some people afraid of it? Some people are afraid of it because they haven't learned how to communicate effectively. So effective communication with the truth is really a vital component to you becoming comfortable with speaking your truth. So, for example, my daughter, she's 11 now, such an amazing young lady. She was just at Huna, and she just attended level 3 of Huna, loved it, had a great time, and she was so truthful as a kid. People would come up to her and go, how are you doing today, Skylar? And she'd be like, I'm not doing really well. And then she would share things and then later say to me, I didn't want to tell them, but they asked. First lesson that I gave to Skylar is being truthful doesn't mean that you have to say anything. Being truthful can include you saying to someone, I don't feel like talking about this. I don't feel like having this conversation with you. That's called being truthful. Some people don't even get that. They sit there and they go, well, if someone asks a question and I don't tell them, then I'm not being truthful. Not at all. In fact, if someone asks me a question about something that I don't feel comfortable sharing or want to talk about, I can just simply say, my truth is, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Or that's not something that I want to have a conversation with. I've gone through things in my life and had to sit there and go, do I talk about this or not? I've been asked questions where I'm like, I'm just not going to go there. It's not up to you. I'm sorry, it's not up to them what's shared, it's up to you. It's up to you what you share and what you don't share. So first thing is, be okay saying to someone, you're just not able to share what it is that they're asking. Second thing is, what you want to do is, rather than going in and saying something that is negative, find what is the positive. What is the positive way that you can share your truth? For example, I have to give feedback to my team members. I got a team of 14 people that work at our company, the Empowerment Partnership, an amazing group of individuals. I'm getting tons of thank yous. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Joseph, Ed Lira, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. You know, we have 14 people that work for the company. I got to give feedback to them sometimes. I have 3 people that I mentor. I mentor the 2 people that I teach with, Pega and John, and I also mentor Janice, my VP. Sometimes I have to give feedback to the people that I mentor. For example, a trainer a while back, no one that's on the team right now, they weren't doing so well. They weren't connecting with the group. And he asked me, how did I do? First thing that I ask, so you guys, for those of you who take notes or really get a lot of value out of these videos, this is something you might want to write down. Setting up permission and making sure the person is in the space to hear your truth. So what I mean by these 2 things, number 1, do you have permission to share your truth? You may have a truth that you want to share with someone, but it may not be your role. So if a student comes up to one of my teachers that are a part of my company and they say, I want to give you feedback, I've instructed Pega and John to say, actually, I take feedback from Dr. Matt. Would you please go give Dr. Matt the feedback so that he can give it to me all together? And that's the reason that they are able to maintain their focus during a training, because if you're taking feedback as you go, not everyone knows how to give feedback. So first of all, permission. Hey, Ethan, do I have permission to give you some feedback? Hey, so-and-so, do I have permission to share with you something, some truth that I have about a situation? If you don't have permission, there's no point in going, because otherwise it's all conflict. There's no point in going forward if you don't have permission. The second thing is switching it from the negative to the positive. So this trainer that I started talking about just a moment ago, he wasn't really connecting with the group. So what am I going to say to him? You're not connecting with the group. But that doesn't give anyone a direction. That doesn't give someone a direction, a place to go. Speaking your truth, you may internally know what the problem is. You got to be able to flip it and think, what can I share with them? What is it that I need that I'm not getting? Or what is it that is not being expressed that needs to be expressed? So this old trainer of mine wasn't connecting with the group. So I said to him, I don't feel a really strong connection with the group. So here's what I think is going on. And then I shared with him the truth. I don't think you're taking the time to build rapport. I think that your energy may be a little bit off in the beginning. Then I went even more positive. Here's what you can do. Slow down a little bit. Be calm when you get up on stage. Take the time to connect with individuals in the group. And as I gave him that feedback, open from my heart, speaking the truth, he was more open to receiving it. At every single training that I do, and I've shared this example in a few videos here on Facebook, I walk out into the audience and I ask a person in the front row to hold their hand up. And as they do, I go and push on their hand. And then they always push back. I always say to the person, why did you push back? All I did was say, hold your hand up. See, it's an unconscious, it's a natural hardwire reflex. If someone goes to push, that you push back to hold yourself. Well, that's true physically, but it's also true energetically, mentally, and emotionally. If you go in speaking your truth with an intensity, what happens is a wall has to come up and you got to meet it with intensity. I have yet to meet someone. I've done this with men, women, people who are young, people who are old. They all push back. People have been meditating for years. People have never meditated. I have yet to meet someone that does not push back. Maybe one day I'll go do that to someone who's done Aikido and they won't push back. They'll just grab my hand and yank me to the back row or something. And think about this though. If I go in to try to talk to my kids, if I go in trying to talk to you guys or sharing my truth, speaking my truth with someone, and as I do it, it comes in with intensity, what occurs is a wall gets put up. If you want to bring those walls down to be able to speak your truth, you got to find a way to do it from your heart. A technique that I teach, I actually wrote a book about it called Ho'oponopono, Hawaiian forgiveness process. I know many of you that I see on here have gotten to experience it either with me in the training or possibly gotten the book. You know, when you did face-to-face Ho'oponopono, you were not allowed to bring any intensity to the conversation. You were not allowed to bring any intensity to it. You needed to be calm. And in fact, if any intensity built up, you were asked to go handle your intensity and find a way to calm it down, find a way to relax. And what happens is when you go in a nice, calm way, what occurs is the person then begins to reflect that back. Then there's less resistance. You're able to speak your truth and you're able to communicate from the heart. So that's, I think, an important tip that I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to also save a little bit of time for any questions you guys have about this. Guy just mentioned that Milton model is a way of non-resistant communication. Guy, I would agree with you. And Milton model patterns are just language patterns. I have met some people that can be a little pushy even with their Milton model patterns. So remember now, Milton model patterns are words. Tone and physiology speak louder than words. So in addition to Milton model patterns, think about putting the entire package together. Think about what you need to do in order to go in there physically, which energy affects the body, verbally, which your mindset will affect your tone, it will affect the emphasis you put on certain words, and then the last thing is the words. You're never going to get all the words 100% correct. No one ever does. I don't get all of my words right. Not anyone gets all of their words right. The point is to be able to go in there and speak your truth from your heart. When you go in open, when you go in totally relaxed, calm, then a person is able to respond in that way. Rita says, looking forward to attending your workshop in Portland, April 12th through the 15th. I know that's just 2 weeks away. Super exciting. Those of you going to Portland, I look forward to seeing you there. We're hitting up the entire Northwest region. I don't know what it is. We just felt like going to the Northwest this month. April, we're going for, Seattle? We're going into Seattle. We're going to be going into Portland the week after that, and Vancouver, British Columbia, going up to Canada. And Lori, so excited that you're coming to LA. I'm going to be there. I'm going to LA. That's in May. So right after we do those three, take a couple weeks off. I'm teaching an advanced training in between that and May. And Lori, super excited to be able to see you there as well. Rita, I'm bringing 8 of my professional friends with me. Rita, I appreciate that. That's super cool. Going to have an amazing time in Portland. I haven't taught, well, I actually just did teach in Portland, didn't I? I think I did a Huna weekend there. Or was that Seattle? Oh, I've been to so many places and I just got done teaching 2 weeks here at Huna. So let me see. I just want to scroll up and see if there are any other questions. I appreciate all the shout outs for sure. Good to see so many of you on here. Kevin. Kevin said, awesome. So that the person doesn't feel criticized. Great advice, right? What you want to do is you want to be able to take a look at how you can flip the switch to the positive, how you're able to flip the switch to the positive. Lisa, I'm not able to see your entire comment. It just said, Dr. Matt, can you please address the Wikipedia definition? I'm not really sure. Give me a little bit more details on that. I don't own Wikipedia. I don't think actually anyone owns Wikipedia. Studying hypnosis and NLP, Charlotte. I'm studying NLP and hypnosis, especially with self-hypnosis. I appreciate the knowledge. You're welcome. I'm so glad that you're on here. Self-hypnosis is a very powerful way for you to be able to make a huge difference in your connection with your unconscious mind. Absolutely incredible way. Lisa, oh, well, first of all, Wikipedia. I'll handle that. I don't mind handling that one live. I handle it at the live trainings as well. Wikipedia is edited by the general public, and there are a group of people that don't like NLP and do their best to maintain the We Hate NLP page on Wikipedia. I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of psychology. My diploma's over there on the wall. Boop, there's my diploma. And as a doctor of psychology, you're not allowed to cite Wikipedia because it's not a credible source of information. In fact, the only thing that I trust on Wikipedia is their warning not to trust anything on Wikipedia. In 2006, a study was done to validate that NLP-based rapport increases trust and therefore affects sales. It was published in a peer-reviewed psychological journal. Some modalities are studied at Stanford University, and in fact, in the Stanford University psychology program, they teach NLP. So what I would have to say is that the people who are really focused on making sure Wikipedia maintains a negative viewpoint on neuro-linguistic programming probably had a bad training. Probably didn't go to someone that knows their stuff. This is my, what year is this? Is this 2018, you guys? I think 2018. I think it sounds like it's 2018. This is my 36th year in the industry, 26 with this company. Celebrated my 25th anniversary last year. And man, I've put some study out there as well. Mental and emotional release. Check out the book on Amazon. Also check out Ho'oponopono. Cites a lot of the research that has been done. And I'm just here to spread the good word as opposed to negative stuff. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, Lisa. Is there a way to get a recording of Ho'oponopono? Yeah, if you go to empowermentsuccess.com, we got a free recording of Ho'oponopono that you can download. Lisa, you're welcome. By the way, I appreciate you asking. When I do these Facebook Live things, man, I'm totally open to handling those hard questions. I get difficult questions all the time in classes. I love them. I love to tackle it head on. And by the way, Lisa, I hope that I did it in a way that was non-confrontational and spoke my truth. I hope it was good. Hope I got to demo the whole first thing that I started talking about here. Ray, congratulations on your anniversary on the MER book. Yeah, the MER book is awesome. My wife Trish helped out with the chapter and helped to bring in some of that emotional quality to it. I really enjoyed that. Her book's going to be coming out pretty soon. Yeah, she just wrapped up the cover. Her book's going to be coming out. It's going to be badass. We'll help to do some promotion on that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say ass on there. Anyway, it was interesting to watch your face. Oh, I appreciate that, Lisa. Facebook Live. I think you get to. I get the energy thing. Darlene, I get the energy thing, yet when I feel passionate, I feel most alive and can get to my truth. That's a good point. When you're passionate about something, when you truly are, like your heart is in it, it's easier to share your truth, isn't it? That's a good point, Darlene. You know, many people run the motions. It's what Carl Jung referred to as a persona, a mask. The word persona means in Latin, it means actor's mask. And I wrote a couple of books on that. My second and third book was about the ego, about persona, about shadow, and how to deal with these deeper things in the unconscious. For me, persona, I love the way that Carl Jung talked about it being an actor's mask, right? I don't think that if you feel passionate about something, that this mask is a true representation of who you are. See, here's the deal. When you are passionate about who you are, there's no mask. It's like this clear filter and you get to see through it. I can see through it, you can see in, and it just is what it is. So I think that it's easier to speak your truth when you're standing in your passion because it's just you being you. My friend in high school said, a true friend tells you got something in your teeth or that your breath smells. That's how you know you got a true friend. I'm not sure if that's the only criteria that I would use. I would probably use some other criteria along with it. And I truly appreciate the fact that you brought up that whole idea of passion. It's absolutely true. Joanne, geez, that means 6 years since I took the training in Newport Beach. I know, right? Joanne, that was 6 years ago. That was when we were celebrating our 30th anniversary. We were celebrating my 30th anniversary with being an NLP. That's a while. Time flies, right? Michael, do you think NLP can or is used as a spiritual bypass? Actually, Michael, really cool question. Did you take a training with me? I think it's possible that you took a training with me. I didn't come up with the term spiritual bypass. A psychologist did. So let me clue everyone else in that's on this Facebook Live on what a spiritual bypass is. Spiritual bypassing is using spiritual or personal growth techniques to avoid having to work on yourself. And so, Michael, I would actually chunk up, I would go bigger picture and say any spiritual teaching and any personal growth teaching can be used for spiritual bypassing. I absolutely agree. NLP is, Michael's like, no, I haven't, just an avid student of learning. Very cool. Spiritual bypassing is something that I began talking about after reading a book. And I can't remember the name of the psychologist. I'd love to give this guy credit. I think his first name is John. He began to notice that people who take personal growth trainings and or deep spiritual trainings use their teachings in order to actually bypass having to work on themselves. So, for example, practice of gratitude. Big fan of it. Love it. And yet, you can use the practice of gratitude to spiritual bypass. That's not NLP. How does spiritual bypassing occur? It occurs when you are like, this negative situation, I want to tell my kids the truth. I want to let's loop it back to the truth, right? I want to share what's in my heart to this person. But man, I'm just grateful that I have kids, and I'm just grateful to be alive. And so, I just kind of gotta have some acceptance and just go with the flow. I appreciate gratitude and I appreciate acceptance. And, Ray, my man, Ray Kilps, I appreciate you. John Wellwood, spiritual bypassing. Anyway, back to my point. You can say, I accept and I have gratitude rather than going up to the person and saying, here's what works for me and here's what doesn't. I finally had to sit my daughter down and said, yes, your friends have their own path and no part of their path gives them a right to crap on your path. I mean that. I said that to she was 10 at the time, and she's like, I just got to accept that my friend is just this way. And I said, that doesn't work for me, Skylar. I said, no part of anyone else's path gives them a right to be mean to you or to crap all over your path. This is where you have to learn how to speak your truth and approach something in a calm way. NLP reframing could probably be used for spiritual bypassing, but NLP is not a technique that was created. NLP is modeled from how successful people operate. So I would actually say that you need to go back, Michael, to the original definition of what neuro-linguistic programming is from back in the 70s. It's the idea that we look outside and we find models of excellence. We find people that we want to emulate in order for us to emulate a successful path, a successful strategy. So there's nothing new in NLP. There's no new technique in neuro-linguistic programming. From Milton Erickson, you got rapport skills, and they modeled from Erickson how he established rapport. I don't think you can spiritual bypass with rapport. Reframing, that came from people like Fritz Perls, and it came from Virginia Satir, and even Milton Erickson. You have these individuals that were gifted at looking at the negative and finding a positive. So NLP created from modeling something called reframing. So Michael, I think the point is that the bulk of NLP is modeled behaviors. The people that it was modeled from didn't do as much spiritual bypassing. And Milton Erickson had polio and had to relearn how to walk. He didn't give in to even a disease. He retaught his body how to become amazing again. And no, none of the people that were modeled are perfect. And yet they had these skills, these techniques to be able to go in and make a difference in someone's life. That to me is what NLP is all about. But I'm old school NLP. I know that I'm young, but in training years, I'm getting up there. I've been doing this for a little while. I also like to teach 21st century NLP, which is why I talk about spiritual bypassing and energy, because what successful people do now is very different than what they did in the 70s. Successful people now, They incorporate things like meditation, mindfulness-based techniques, gratitude. And yes, you need to hold yourself accountable to make sure that you are truthful with yourself. So here's the way you can kind of look at this. The truth that I started talking about, are you truthful with yourself? Are you using a technique in order to circumvent having to work on a deeper issue? Are you using reframing, NLP, anything in order to escape dealing with a situation? And if you are, you want to make sure that you ask yourself, what is the future cost of that? Not dealing with something now. Will it get worse or will it get better? Many times the answer is it'll get worse. If you leave something to fester, it's going to get worse and worse. I'm here in Hawaii right now, and we have a saying that has to do with the volcano. And to make it really succinct, in English, we as locals are happy because the volcano is erupting. My daughter asked me, Daddy, what do we do if the volcano starts to erupt? I'm like, well, it started erupting back in the mid-'80s and has been pretty much going nonstop since then. So we've been living here ever since, and I mean, I've actually been here since the 70s, so I've been here my whole life. We're happy when the volcano is erupting. It's when it stops erupting that we get nervous. As locals here in Hawaii, if the volcano stops erupting, that's when we take a step back and go, oh boy. Because when you hold it in, you blow. When you let it out, when you just let it out in a nice, calm way, there's no eruptions, there's no explosions. So, I usually only go for about 20 minutes, but I guess we had a lot to say. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Got a couple of meetings and appointments. Then I get to head home and hang out with my kids. Get to spend some time with the kids today. Thank you guys so much for being on here. Share this with anyone that you'd like to. Michael, thank you so much. You're welcome, Michael. I appreciate the questions on spiritual bypassing. Love it. Look for my next Facebook Live, Michael. Come on down and I'll enjoy some of the questions from you again. I appreciate all of you. Take care. Ahui ho.